You feel that energy, yes? Just becoming cognizant and aware of that energy. So the title of today's lesson is Infinite Possibilities and Sacred Kinship. This is my first lesson of the year due to welcoming my new granddaughter into the world. So Happy New Year. It is still January, barely. Yeah, turn the house lights, there, stage lights, wonderful. Makes me want to cry just looking. Charlotte Joy Mello was born, for those of you who are numbers people, 1/2/26 at 12:26 p.m. And my daughter's birthday is March 22nd. So the 2 and 2, my daughter said to me, she got 22 in. As you all know, it's magical. It's heaven. Corinne and Brian are over the moon with Charlotte, as well as her grandmamas. You asked what the name is? Grandmamas. She's lucky she's got 2 of them. Many of you may know this, but I told my son-in-law when they got married that not every future husband thinks, oh, great, 2 mother-in-laws. But he's a wonderful, gentle man, and they are perfect together, and so I was honored to be able to bond as family with them. My daughter is a physician assistant, so she wanted to be careful that we weren't being exposed to anything. So we hung out together. She was due on December 24th, but of course the baby didn't come till January 2nd, so we got that time together to bond with my daughter, son-in-law, and the grandpup. And then on January 2nd, for those of you who are parents, you know how it is. You don't know what to expect once the baby's born, right? And my daughter and son-in-law were very gracious in the sense of, yes, please come do this. Yes, please help us. Yes, just being very open to the time together. So I am very, very grateful for that. So let's see, what all I can say is it's heaven, love radiating out loud, that perfect innocence, and you just can't get enough of that. So sad to leave, but happy to be here with all of you, as we have our board meeting today also. So, business and inspiration come together. So our CSL, Centers for Spiritual Living, global theme for 2026 is open at the top. Hopefully you got your bookmark. Don't want to lose my place here. There's bookmarks in the bookstore in Loftus Hall, and it lists all the books that we'll be reading together, and I want to thank Crystal for designing it and getting the bookmark done. And I'll be talking about the first book called Braiding Sweetgrass, so that's coming up right now. I also want to highlight that while we will be doing the annual theme, for CSL Chico we have a sub-theme, Abundance and Prosperity. And John, religious science practitioner, created a beautiful 5-step spiritual mind treatment. That's our form of affirmative prayer. And if there's anybody who would like this treatment, Kat has it in the back, so raise your hand if you'd like a copy. And I highly recommend you take this treatment and put it like in the bathroom mirror or somewhere where you see it a lot. And we know that as each one of you are lifted up, so this community is lifted up, and so is the world. And we're going to talk a lot more about that at the annual meeting. We hold an annual meeting with all of our members. That will be February 22nd. Everybody is welcome to join. And we'll be talking more about reviewing what we did in 2025 and how we are moving together in 2026. Thank you for everybody distributing those, the treatment. Okay, we'll make some more copies. Remind me at the end, Kat. just do about 25 more. Terrific. All right, so open at the top. Our spiritual leader for Centers for Spiritual Living is Reverend Dr. Sonny Cantrell Smith. And this is what she wrote regarding choosing open at the top as our global theme. When our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, described the science of mind, our philosophy, as an open at the top, he offered more than a clever phrase. He gave us a vision of a spiritual path that is never finished, never fixed, and never closed. To be open at the top is to remain teachable, curious, and receptive to the unfolding presence of Spirit in every season of our life. In a world that often feels unpredictable, Dr. Ernest Holmes' teachings remind us that life itself is creative, responsive, and expansive. The infinite does not run out of ideas, possibilities, or ways to bless us. The divine current is always flowing, moving forward, urging us to grow deeper in wisdom and rise higher in love. When we are open and willing, we align with this current and discover that renewal is natural. A new year offers more than resolutions, it offers revelation. Every sunrise whispers that we are participants in ever-folding spiritual evolution. Being open at the top means we don't cling to the way things have been. Instead, we embrace the call of what's next. What's next in our relationships, in our community, I'll add in our country, and our shared journey together in this life. Let us step forward with hearts unafraid and spirits open. I invite us all to greet the year with receptivity, remembering that being open at the top is to trust life is still creating. Spirit is guiding, and love is still the deepest truth of who we truly are. So now I'm going to ask you a question. If Spirit is truly open at the top, and there really are unlimited possibilities in this life, what's holding you back from something greater than what you're experiencing today?
Our beliefs.
Okay, think about it for a second. I want people to reflect for a moment, and then we'll come back. Thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay. So I'll ask again, if Spirit is truly open at the top, and there really are unlimited possibilities in this life, what is holding you back from something greater than what you're experiencing today?
Nothing.
What is holding you back when the world of possibilities is reachable for you? Old beliefs. The unknown. Trust.
Fear.
Getting beyond the fear. Yourself. You are in your own way. You know, we tend to have structured minds, even if you feel like your mind is not structured. We have ways that we've learned about being. But if we're really open at the top, there are new ways that we can find a way to be. So are you settling for what is rather than expanding what's possible for you? You get old if you're just doing the settling thing. But if you choose to co-create, You can renew. Isn't that what the seasons teach us? And winter is usually known as a time for reflection because it's dark and it's cold. But this is when we prepare to plant the seeds of our intentions for our life. So I myself don't necessarily do New Year's resolutions, but I do spend time reflecting and making a pledge to something new because expansion is the natural law. But it requires your intention to co-create. You miss out on the chance to co-create something greater and something more beautiful for yourself and the world when you don't consider what really is newly possible for you. So each month we're going to explore being open at the top. And as I mentioned, our book of the month for January is Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. And as mentioned previously by previous January speakers, if you haven't seen those lessons, they're on our YouTube channel. Now, I feel that the CSL Chico community demonstrated this beautiful book because we've been using the affirmation, I love Mother Earth, for many years. And this book is a beautiful expression of that. It's easy to read, lots of little stories within the larger story. Can I ask, who's enjoying the book?
We are.
Okay, about 20 of you or so. Beautiful. So I'm going to take some things from pages 106 through 117 of the book. So for those of you who haven't picked it up or want to know more about it, you'll get a gist of that. Robin Wall Kimmerer is a scientist, Native American, and a writer, poet. So interesting combination. The science is not like this is how it works. The science integrates with the Native American understanding about nature. And she says many Native Americans across the whole globe, regardless of the myriad of cultural differences amongst those Native Americans, have this in common. We're rooted in cultures of gratitude. Think about that. All Native Americans who lived closer to the earth have a culture of gratitude. What am I grateful for? Because if you read the news, you're not going to find that, are you? This is where spiritual practice takes discipline, because if you allow yourself to get lost in the news, you'll never remember the goodness that is happening right here where you are. She talks in the book about the story of Pledge of Allegiance at school. Now, I was raised in Catholic school, so yes, we did the Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody remember that? I pledge allegiance to the flag, yeah. Mm-hmm. And of course, because I was in Catholic school, prayer came next. But when you do the pledging, you're pledging to an institution. Nothing per se wrong with that. But with the Native Americans, their ritual is to begin with a Thanksgiving address, used at all events, just like a pledge. And the Thanksgiving address is the words that come before all else. This ancient order of protocol sets gratitude as the highest priority when coming together. The gratitude is directed straight to the earthly ones who share their gifts with the world freely. Water, air, plants, animals, stars, sky. You all know the Native American expressions of the oneness that we all live in. So this isn't, the Thanksgiving address is not a set of memorized words like the Pledge of Allegiance. Rather, it's the intentions stated by the one doing the Thanksgiving address follows a similar pattern. So it's free form, but it has a similar pattern. So I'm going to read you some examples. This one because it's so appropriate for us. We are thankful to our mother, the earth, for she gives us everything that we need for life. She supports our feet as we walk about upon her. It gives us joy that she still continues to care for us, just as she has from the beginning of time. To our mother, we send thanksgiving, love, and respect. Now our minds are one. With one mind, we honor and thank all the food plants we harvest from the garden, especially the three sisters who feed us with such abundance, which is corn, bean, and squash. Since the beginning of time, the grains, vegetables, beans, and fruit have helped the people survive. Many other living things draw strength from them as well. We gather together in our minds all the plant foods and send them a greeting and thanks. Now our minds are one. There's lots more examples, but I think there's one more that I highlighted. Well, there's many fun ones. We now turn our thoughts to the Creator or Great Spirit and send greetings and thanks for all the gifts of creation. Everything we need to live a good life is here on Mother Earth. For all the love that is still around us, we gather our minds together as one and send our choicest words of greeting and thanks to the Creator. Now our minds are one. What did you notice about the three stanzas? Now our minds are one. And giving thanks to all that allows us to be in this moment. And so she talks about whether it's meetings or events or whatever the case may be, to begin with gratitude for what is that allows us to be. Automatically brings us into one mind and one understanding of that. And she claims, regardless of how people negotiate, wouldn't it be nice to always start out with, what can we agree on? That we're all standing here breathing with our hearts beating as one. Oh, what a beautiful way to begin anything, and what a wonderful natural pledge of allegiance to Mother Earth. Just beautiful. And meanwhile, Dr. Ernest Holmes, in The Science of Mind, calls us to recognize the divine in all things. To love God and love our neighbors as ourselves means to see God in everything and include everyone in one divine unity. When we align with oneness, the universal law's infinite potential unfolds through us, limited only by our beliefs on what we can or cannot do. When we drop the belief in separation, we actually access infinite possibilities for creating peace, abundance, and mutual uplift. So at a time when the U.S. government withdraws from dozens of international environmental cooperation agreements, this highlights how fragmentation and retreat from collective responsibility can weaken the global efforts to care for our common home, Mother Earth. Division is not our truth, and don't let them convince you, us and them. Now, it matters not what your beliefs are. I work really hard in that when I'm looking at names or I'm looking at labels like Republican and Democrat, no, I'm not going to let a label divide us. Everybody is human. Their choices may not be what I agree with or their opinions, but they're still humans. They're still people. There's still compassion. And for myself, I frequently say I have compassion for the ignorance, the misunderstanding. I have compassion for the egos that want to be right, that only see it their way, because I know that that's a reflection of parts of me that I need to become aware of and heal. So what does our allegiance to the greater good truly look like? And I'm talking about this community. How does our collective action in this community reflect kinship of all life? It's a good question for the beginning of a year, isn't it? Isn't it, Stewardship Council? Isn't it, practitioners? So I'll come back to why I say that as we focus on, once again, when you are uplifted, we are uplifted, and when we are uplifted, we lift our community just like a net. It begins here. So I, of course, had to go looking for some good, because there's lots of good happening out there. I'm just not going to find it per se on social media, right? So next slide. Be the People campaign. They want to unite hundreds of millions of Americans in service together to problem solve and to take responsibility. Less of a top-down organization, but more that people reaching out to each other to make a difference. People, power in the people, like that net I just talked about. Now that's a picture of Martin Luther King III. He's not the one leading this, but his organization with many others are joining together to figure out how we come together as people. What a thought. And maybe begin with gratitude, and then figure out how we're not letting the power of others dictate what's happening in our community. We have the power in our community to uplift, to make a difference. What do we want to pledge to in that domain? So together we choose sacred kinship. Now, there are infinite possibilities for us as a spiritual community. How do we choose to focus and place our intentions on sacred kinship? And you might ask, well, what's sacred kinship? It is the lived awareness, embodied awareness, that we belong to one another and to the earth, and that our spiritual power is meant to serve the flourishing of the whole. Sacred kinship is the recognition that relationship, not separation, is the fundamental truth of life. Amen? Amen. It affirms that all existence is bound together in a living, intelligent whole, and that nothing exists solely for itself. Every being, human, animal, plant, water, soil, sky, each cell in our body is the participant in one sacred web of life. It's all of our job to serve the whole. So Science of Mind has a key principle. The principles we have are on our website and also in our classroom. And one of those principles is oneness. That's the sacred kinship. And while we may not use the principle frequently saying sacred kinship, that's really what we're talking about here. To say that we are one is to say that spirit is not separate from form. So many of us, as I said, I was born and raised Catholic, there's a separation. There's you, and then there's God. But in Science of Mind, and it takes lots of classes and practice, we learn it's not an outside thing, that we are spirit in form, that everything in this room that we see is spirit in form. And of course, with quantum physics, we are learning that we are all just energy here, aligned a certain way at a certain frequency, and that there are unlimited possibilities based on the observer who's setting the intention for what they want to see in the world. Also, within the worldview, kinship always carries the responsibility of reciprocity. To receive means to also freely give back. Gratitude's not a feeling, but a practice that restores balance. The Native American Thanksgiving address exemplifies this orientation, a daily ritual of remembering relationships. Again, not just with people, with the very air we breathe, the very earth we walk on. We are constantly in relationship. So I like to imagine this like, you picture a whole bunch of cells or even molecules that are made up of a bunch of atoms. We are always in relationship to each other. There is no like me by myself, because as I'm moving around the room, I am moving energy. I am moving those cells. We are all connected. Sacred kinship also invites us to re-examine, where is our allegiance? Allegiance is devotion or loyalty. And the question comes, to what or to whom do we ultimately pledge our loyalty? And again, I believe that based on where we are in the United States, it's not an allegiance to symbolisms or institutions per se. It is an allegiance towards life, respect, dignity. Sacred kinship is not passive or abstract. It is morally active. It calls us to maturity, humility, and shared responsibility. So, do you want to work together? Good. I hope you'll come to the February 22nd meeting so we can talk more about how we're going to do that together. I'm just going to sort of wrap it up by saying that sacred kinship is demonstrated every day in our actions and in our spiritual practice, our thoughts, our essence of being. To live sacred kinship is to remember who we truly are and where we belong. Participants in a living universe, co-creating a future where dignity, love, balance, and care are shared by all beings. So, what's your chore this week, if you choose to accept the mission? I invite you to practice sacred kinship. Pause at the end of each day and ask, who or what am I in relationship with this day? And how can I honor that relationship? It may be a person, the land beneath your feet, the land you live on, the food you're eating, the water you're drinking, or the words that you speak. Notice what shifts when you move through the day as a participant in relationship with everything around you, rather than being a separate individual. Let sacred kinship become something you practice each day, not just something you believe. May we leave here remembering that we all belong to one another, to the earth, and to the infinite life expressing as all. May our choices be guided by gratitude, our actions shaped by love and care, and our lives becoming living expressions of sacred kinship. Namaste.